So Doctor Who is still filming its 14th season right now, so we're getting a couple of updates, a few bits of trickling news making its way through the grapevine, and the big one from this past week is some casting news, because we've seen a couple of these people on location. They of course needed to drop this news before it leaked, so this is the casting of Anita Dobson and Michelle Greenidge, and I do not really know who these people are, but thankfully Rusty Davis is on hand on Instagram to give us some cryptic clues and to also let us know who these people are. Doctor Who News, Anita Dobson joins us. Oh, The Honour, EastEnders, Strictly, Doctor Who, Anita is the BBC, and Michelle Greenidge joins us too, my old mate from It's a Sin. What an amazing cast from Andy Pryor Casting, who is the casting director, who has been basically the casting director of the entire Revived series, including but not limited to the casting of all of the Revived series Doctors and all of the Revived series companions. And this little cryptic message, what is the significance of the doors? So they're both in front of blue doors. This is a dark blue one. This is a light blue one. I'm going to go out on a limb here, and I'm going to make a bit of a prediction. I think these are both the Rani. No, I'm kidding. They're both Susan, of course. So, Jonah, have you not seen It's a Sin yet? Oh, I saw It's a Sin, but it was 2 years ago. In fact, it was like 2 years ago, a couple of days ago, actually. I saw the people posting their anniversary posts. I've not watched it for 2 years. I don't have a photographic memory. My current drama obsession right now is Happy Valley, which I've binge-watched over the past 2 weeks as well. Terrific drama. A lot of Doctor Who actors in that as well. So yeah, we've got this casting as well. Anita Dobson, BBC royalty. And we've also got Michelle Greenidge from It's a Sin, Word Rusty Davis before, and Andy Pryor. Doing great work as usual. So there's literally nothing else to talk about in terms of Series 14 official news. We've seen them filming in a quarry recently. We've seen Millie Gibson filming and looking very distressed and crying in the middle of a London street. But really, not much has been happening this past week in terms of Doctor Who filming. So we've actually got a few mini stories that we're going to be making our way through over the course of this live stream, including 5 new Target novels are making their way to the range, including a brand new version of Warrior's Gate, which is like an extended director's cut edition of the novel. Warrior's Gate has already had a Target book adaptation, but this is gonna be the first one that will have like a extra content that was on a vinyl, I believe. That's by Stephen Gallagher. But also, this is Target Books' 50th anniversary, because they started on Doctor Who's 10th anniversary. It's its 60th anniversary. You do the math. So, we've got Kablam by Pete Teague, Planet of the Ood by Keith Temple, The Zygon Invasion, and presumably Inversion, by Peter Harness, and Waters of Mars by Phil Ford. So all of the original writers have gone back to the drawing board for these Target novelizations. And the Doctor Who official website says, launched in 1973, Target Books published novelizations of almost every serial aired between 63 and 89, with only a few notable exceptions. BBC Books began reissuing these classic paperbacks in 2012, and in 2018 expanded the Target range to include all new novelizations of modern era Doctor Who episodes. I'm hardly a Target book completionist. I've only read a couple of them, but the Dalek one by Rob Shearman is absolutely terrific. The Witchfinders was really, really good. That was written by Joy Wilkinson, she was adapting her Series 11 Doctor Who story, and that's kind of all the Revived series ones that I've read. I'm told that the Rose one is very, very good. The Day of the Doctor one is very, very playful. If you're expecting a straight-up adaptation of The Day of the Doctor, you may leave disappointed. I am told, though, that the Twice Upon a Time adaptation is like heads and shoulders significantly better than the actual TV story itself, to the extent that it's made people completely reevaluate the TV story that it's based on. So there is that, of course. Which classics haven't they done? I think it was just a couple of ones from, I think it was like Stones of Blood, Androids of Tara or something, which joined the Target range in the past couple of years. So let's talk about these ones. So Kablam by Pete Teague, I think you could basically straightforwardly adapt up until the third act when you need to change that ending, or at least completely justify why you've gone for that ending of Kablam. Because my goodness, the ending of Kablam just kind of makes the entire story almost really bitter and mean-spirited in hindsight. Like, it kind of licks the boot of Amazon, goes against union workers or people who are wanting a better lot in life, which I think, considering everything that's been happening in terms of strikes over the past few months in the UK, is not a very good vibe to put out in paperback form. But also, the moment that really kind of sealed that something has really, really gone wrong here for the making of Kablam was like at the very very end when the woman who's like one of the bosses at Kablam at the end, she's like, yeah, we're gonna give all the employees a month of work off. We're gonna give them a month off, and we're gonna give them 2 weeks pay. Like, how do you not realize how bad that sounds? And the Doctor and companions just smile and walk away. Like, that ending needs fixing. It needs either justifying or drastically reworking. You cannot just do a straightforward adaptation of Kablam and have it work, because fundamentally, Kablam does not work while that story ends the way that it does. Planet of the Ood, don't touch it. 'Tis perfect. Waters of Mars, I'm curious as to whether or not Phil Ford will maybe tie into the Time Lord Victorious event that happened a couple of years ago, because Time Lord Victorious, for those of you who don't know, was a big epic multi-doctor, multimedia story that the inciting incident is the Waters of Mars. And the Doctor tries to go to a planet where death was created and to try and stop the concept of death from happening. And he basically becomes the Time Lord Victorious. And there's like a lovely prelude where the TARDIS itself like narrates a prologue to the event. It's really, really cool. It was, all intents and purposes, a lot of pomp and circumstance, but there were some really good stories within it, particularly Genetics of the Daleks, which is a great Fourth Doctor Big Finish story, and a really fun Eighth Doctor Big Finish audio trilogy. And Mutually Assured Destruction, which is the last one of that set, is basically Doctor Who meets Die Hard but with Paul McGann. Really cool. I wonder if that will tie into it. But Waters of Mars, I really look forward to sort of like the internal monologue of the Doctor while he's trying to save everybody at the end. I'd love to see what Phil Ford expands on the story, and maybe Adelaide Brooke growing up and her family tree, etc. Because so much of Waters of Mars is carried by Graham Harper's outstanding direction, and when you can't rely on that, I'm not saying Waters of Mars relied on that, it had a great script and great performances, of course, but when you remove the visual storytelling and the kinetic energy that Graham Harper brought to Waters of Mars behind the camera, what do you have? Like, what can you add to it and expand on it? Really, really looking forward to this adaptation. And we've got the Zygon Inversion by Peter Harness. I'm curious as to whether or not the big epic monologue at the end that the 12th Doctor does, this is a scalar model of war, Clara. I wonder whether or not he'll just let that go, whether or not that will just be the entirety of the pages, and it will just be block text of that. I'm curious. Of course, there's a lot more to the Zygon Inversion than that monologue, but of course everybody is going to be picking up their Target copies, they're going to be pre-ordering them or going to the shop and picking them up and skipping straight to that chapter and seeing what happens. It wasn't a bad impression. It was a very bad impression. Anyway, so yeah, you can pre-order all of these as well. We do have a little bit of sad news, though. We've got a Doctor Who obituary here. Tim Barlow has unfortunately passed away this past week. He played Tyson in Destiny of the Daleks. He was also part of the Royal Shakespeare Company. He played the BFG in their production of the BFG a few years ago. He was also, if you know Hot Fuzz, he was Mr. Treacher. He is the old farmer in the great big jacket that's holding several weapons underneath. Interesting bit of trivia about Tim Barlow, though, is that he was in the army and in his late teens, early 20s, he lost his hearing as a result of an explosion. So when he was cast as Tyson in Destiny of the Daleks, he was deaf. If you go and watch some of the scenes between him and Tom Baker, you'll see Tom Baker like pat him on the shoulder or tap him on the back when it was his turn to speak, so that Tim knew when his cue was. It's actually really, really cool to watch unfold, and it's one of the best parts to sort of metatextually watch from Destiny of the Daleks. He was quite prominently featured in some BBC documentaries because he had a cochlear implant in his ear to regain his hearing later on in life. So for several decades he had lost his hearing, and then he was able to use the beauty of modern medicine and modern science in order to regain it. But unfortunately he has passed away this past week. Simon McBurney did a tweet: "Now the great Tim Barlow has left us. 9 lives," he said. "Cancer 3 times, 3 car accidents, two plane crashes and an ambush when in the military. This cat took his own time and has gone on his own terms. Sail on, Tim, we love you." Toby Haydock: "This is where I heard the news that this happened, sir." Yeah, unfortunately, Tim Barlow has left us, but he had an incredible, very interesting career to look back on, and he will be missed. So rest in peace to Tim Barlow. A slight pivot now. We've got a bit of Big Finish news. Terror of the Master is a audio book, as an audio story that was released with the Masterful box set a couple of years ago to celebrate the 50th anniversary of Terror of the Autons, the 50th anniversary of the Master being introduced into the series. And if you got like the exclusive deluxe edition of the box set of the collection, you got this audiobook Terror of the Master, written by Trevor Baxendale and read by John Coleshaw. Basically, everybody I've spoken to has said that this thing is absolutely amazing and that it's awesome and that John Coleshaw does a great job as well. But just for clarification, I'm not going to be covering Terror of the Master because Trevor Baxendale has been using his Twitter recently to promote and retweet and like a hell of a lot of transphobic bigotry, which is just not very good to see. I'm sure that Big Finish will send me a review copy of Terror of the Master in the near future, but just to clarify, I'm not going to be covering Terror of the Master because of Trevor Baxendale's Twitter behaviour. This is an opinion, this is a stance that actually got me blocked on Twitter by Tom Spilsbury, which is interesting. I was not blocked a couple of days ago, but he's been blocking people who have been calling out Trevor Baxendale for his terrible transphobia. So, you know, do what you want. If you want to listen to Terror of the Master, you do you, but just know that I won't be reviewing it, I won't be covering it on this live stream or on this YouTube channel. So, for those of you who have waited patiently, we have a brand new Doctor Who collection box set that has not yet been announced. We do know what's going to be next. We have had it leak, which I'm sure is very frustrating for those at the BBC. But what we can confirm, though, is that Doctor Who, the collection, Season 9, is going to be the next collection box set that's going to be released, which means that we will have the entire Jo Grant, Katie Manning on-screen continuity on these collection box sets. So this is a European home media website which always seems to get the drop on the collection sets. They always seem to be the first ones informed, and then they drop they drop the information. This is confirmed to be coming out in March 2023, so we don't actually have that long to wait. So expect an announcement over the coming days, over the coming weeks, but this website has always been the official first confirmation, the first news of these collection sets. So the collection set Season 9 is going to be the next one. For those of you who don't know, this is Jon Pertwee's third season as the Third Doctor. We've got the Day of the Daleks, the Curse of Peladon, the Sea Devils, the Mutants, and the Time Monster. So a very eclectic season. Why Season 9 of all classic seasons? Presumably because it means that you have all of the Jo Grant stories on the collection set, Season 8, 9, and 10. Season 11 starts with the Time Warrior, which introduces Sarah Jane Smith. Season 7 is the Liz Shaw season, and I think they may be saving Season 7 to last because there's quite a few... I think it's to do with maybe the film prints of Spearhead from Space, because they released that on Blu-ray quite a while ago. I don't think there's a massive amount of rhyme and reason to which collection set they release first, but you know, Season 9, let's get all of those interviews and all those commentaries and behind the sofas with Katie Manning for her last season, and then that's most of the Jon Pertwee era done. I want Season 7 so bad. Ambassadors of Death was so freaking good. I've not watched... That's a blind spot. I've not watched Ambassadors of Death, but Spearhead from Space is terrific. Inferno is my favourite Third Doctor story. Everyone has been waiting for another Davison season for years, and still... Yeah, Davison's only here with one season. So, yeah. Even Hartnell's just had one season as well, so Hartnell and Davison are neck and neck in terms of the amount of seasons out.